My name is Aziza Abdieva. I'm from Kyrgyzstan and I'm a graduate student at Texas Tech School of Art. I focus on body image throughout my work. My work attempts to talk about internal feelings and personal issues by representing them through semi familiar physical forms which have weight and shape within our world. I use body parts and stimulate human form in my work because the body feels the most familiar and closest to me. I take the internal feelings of being human and try to explore them using exterior forms represented by the human body. Explore this theme throughout different mediums, including photography, jewelry, sculpture, sound, and filmmaking. It's not just like sculpture, it's always a combination of like everything, like jewelry, sculpture, photography, videography. I mix them all together, and then in that way they can speak on their own, of course, but when they're all together, they can like send the message they want. So, looking at my work from a distance, you can see that I try to cover many different extremes of humanness. Since I had previously covered birth, life, and human experience, I'm aiming to cover the finality of being human, death. I discovered something new when I came to America: estate sales. I thought it was so interesting that when someone died, we could just rifle through their belongings and pick out what we liked. I loved looking at all the objects that they had collected through their lives and taking home the ones that I thought were beautiful. I started to think about how these items were a representation of the people who owned them, that just by looking at the collection of their things, I could possibly understand who they are, or who they were actually. Building the lights is part of the process, because like in photography and videography, light, light really plays a lot. Like you can create so much depth and meaning just using the light. I took the idea of still lifes from art history, the way that people would have a collection of their items documented in order to show off their wealth or power. Instead, I call this still death and include my living jewelry and found objects from estate sales in order to bring the focus away from just the items and onto person who died and what they left behind. So I tried to create a composition, very attractive composition, starting from the lighting, placement, drapery, and down to the small details of how the object sits on the body. I aim to make this topic and these items as attractive and alluring as I can. I want the viewer to feel the same way that the original owner did, that these items are worth owning. I thought it was ironic that we spent our whole lives working and collecting just to die with nothing but our own bodies. Just as we are born with only our singular body, we die in the same way. It's like crazy how like adding backlight can change the picture. It sort of like separates your objects from the background. Before, my objects were like blended into the black background, so like with the light, I was able to separate, you know, and separate my objects from the background and give like a depth. So I was thinking that sometimes I don't really have control over my life, and like actually like art is something that makes me feel like I'm in control. Like I actually can do what I want to do, and the way I want it. I don't let it to for fate decide. How it's gonna turn out. Yeah, but I don't feel in control. I just go do my art where I can control everything. Do you feel the way? No?